Hey there, health coaches. Have you ever run a workshop? It can be a little bit intimidating, but these are so worth doing. So I want to talk about it today, especially because you probably hear me talk a lot about why social media is not the end all be all to marketing your business. And you're like, well, Michelle, if I'm not going to use social media, how am I going to market my business? Please write down on a piece of paper, hold workshops this year, 2023, the year of the workshop. Let's bring it back. Here's the thing. When you're running a workshop, you want to make sure that anyone who attends is fully engaged, that they're getting to know you, and that they're thinking about their health in a new way. This primes them to become a paying client, either right then and there or down the line. For today's episode, I'm going to be sharing a real conversation from one of our weekly live coaching calls. Did you know this? Inside Healthy Profit University, our members have a chance every single week to meet with me and each other live to get advice and to share ideas. And that's exactly what happened a few weeks ago. We had this great conversation about what to do during a workshop. The beauty of building your own workshop, by the way, is once you do it, you can repeat that workshop over and over and over again for an infinite number of audiences. So it's well worth the effort. Now let's talk about topic real quick, because you're probably thinking, what's my workshop going to be about? It can depend where you're hosting the workshop, of course, who the audience will be. But in general, you want to, first of all, try to get your workshops in front of your target market. That's why we have a target market. So we can think, where can I find that type of person? Where do they hang out? And then hold your workshop there. And once you got that, you want to address a problem or a desire that your target market is actively thinking about and interested in. Example, weight loss, having more energy. How about running your first marathon? All of those are way more interesting, by the way, than vegetables 101, right? So try to avoid that. But the really interesting part is what happens once you have that group assembled and they're engaging with you. I want you to have a listen as our coaches brainstorm ideas and share what's worked for them in the past. And to learn more about Healthy Profit University's core curriculum and our weekly live calls, watch my free training at healthcoachpower.com/training.
I feel like in my workshops, I'm giving a ton of information. And I know like you often say like less is more. And like maybe I'm giving them too much and I need to scale it back. So, I mean, I want to be useful and I want them to go like, oh my God, like she knows so much stuff and she's, this fountain of information. But then if I'm giving away too much, then I'm not, then they're like, yeah, I'm good at the end of this. Like, yeah, I did my 4 classes and I don't need her help.
I don't think so. I mean, when you give a lot, the good thing about giving a lot in a free like workshop kind of format, not that you want to overwhelm people, but you kind of want them to think, I need help with this. If you're just like, drink 4 glasses of water, eat 1 vegetable, they're just like, yeah,
like it's useless.
Yeah, I could do that. Right.
Yeah.
But if you tell them something they don't know, tell them something they haven't heard before, explain blood sugar to them in a way that, they've never heard it explained before, then they're like, oh, that's Susie. Like she knows a lot of stuff that I need. And there's no way that I can implement it myself.
Yeah, I found like just even dropping some words like, like activate your parasympathetic nervous system. They go, I have a parasympathetic nervous system. Like, what is that? And they don't even know. And, and then, I guess they're kind of like, oh, wait, like I need that.
Yeah. Like explain it to them, and here's what it is. And you obviously don't want to go so far that it's like, oh my God, she's overwhelming. She's too much. Like she wants me to just eat cardboard. That's like what we want to avoid. But I do not think it's ever a case of, oh, I got everything I need from that one workshop, I'm good to go. I just think it's a matter of the people who feel like they know you and like you and trust you enough, having just met you, right?
Yeah,
like that's something to kind of work to overcome. And then just are they personally ready?
And Jenny just asked a question, which was my next question, like finding activities to do in the workshop so that they're like together. Cause that was one of the feedback from the woman who came, my client. She's an older woman and she's really looking for like companionship. And she was like, it'd be nice to get to know the other people better so that she could always like make friends. And I feel like I didn't do that in the first workshop of like activities together. And that was my last question in all of this. Like any suggestions for getting them, like they sat together in the last session and just talked about like, what should they be doing? Like, what did they learn from the workshop? What are they going to take away from it? And so and then there was tons of conversation. And I mean, I was like, okay, everybody like, shush, let's get back to it, you know? So like, it was really good, but in each individual, because it was like a series of 4 classes, it'd be nice to have a little mini activity where they're coming together and not just me talking.
Yes.
To take the pressure off of me too.
Are you, all the ones you've coming up, are any of those virtual?
Only one is virtual.
Only one is virtual. Let's do both. So because Jenny, yours is virtual, right? All right. So we'll do hive mind here. If you have it's easier to do in person. Let's start in person. If you have an in-person workshop, how can you build engagement into the presentation? We can put some ideas in the chat here for in-person type things. Like even when I was a student at IIN and we were in person, dark ages, they would, Joshua was very big on like, turn to the person next to you and share back and forth whatever the prompt was. And so, we did like a lot of that and I hated it because I'm like, I do not want to talk to anybody. I was such an introvert, but it was good. It was really good for me to have to do it. Anyway, so you can do that type of thing when you're in person or you could say, break into groups of 3 or, help them break into groups and tell them what to talk about. And you can do that like over and over again. Like that could be their group for the class or their partner for the class. And they're going to keep touching back with those people to reflect on, whatever the topic is. Jenny, sorry, we're going to do virtual next. So Jenny, I'll come to you next. Has anybody else done in-person workshops or attended an in-person workshop? Was that a hand, Patsy, or was that like a no?
No, I was thinking, Susie, when my kids were, one of my kids was in middle school, they used to have this psychotherapist that would come like once a month with different parenting things. And I listened and he was a fountain of information. I didn't think I would need it, but at some point I did. And I contacted him because of all the information he gave. And I knew that he was a good fit, or I mean, could be.
Right.
Addressing your fact of giving out so much information out.
Right. Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm hoping that people will like, oh yeah, remember that woman who, I went to that workshop and like, whatever, even if it's 6 months later, because I've gotten them on my email list. So then, I'm also not great about once they're on my email list, like how I'm actually selling my program. Like that's another question.
That is another thing.
That's a bigger question.
We'll tackle that next time. Judy's saying you can get inspiration from books and articles related to trainers, games that trainers play. That's interesting.
Okay.
And then you can also have props when you're in person. You can pass things around.
That's true. Actually, the one since I got them on my email list, I sent them an email before the second workshop and I said, bring any item from home, from your pantry, whatever you like, something you like or hate or your favorite snack or whatever. And then we went through the ingredient list and they were all like, oh, like, oh my God, it has this and then that. Like they never even looked at it. And they were like, what's, whatever, titanium dioxide and blah, blah, blah.
Yes. I used to have a bag I kept in my basement of boxes of products. Like I would just buy cheap stuff, dump it out in the garbage and then just keep the box for that purpose.
I had in case nobody brought anything, I had my little bag of tricks as well.
Yeah, exactly. Because like Lord knows the stuff in my pantry wouldn't have any of those ingredients. I had to go buy it. But yes, props, anything tangible people can hold and look at. Always a good way to get even like shy people to engage.
Right.
Okay. So that's back when we lived in an in-person world. And thanks, Susie, for still doing some stuff to remind us that we're not just pixelated beings.
Yeah.
Now, what about when we are in like this kind of scenario, frankly, right? Like on Zoom, how can you get people interacting other than being like, do you have any questions? And kind of waiting for someone to
Yeah.
be brave.
Well, the
right.
only thing I've done so far is, I've done the same circle of life, but it's like, it's like a one and done. For these, it's like for divorced people. And then that makes it easy with the link, because obviously I'm not in person. I can't give them a piece of paper.
Yes.
But I don't really have any other ideas, like if I met with the same group, other than like a support call. So I'm curious what other people do if they do a webinar or something.
Okay, Mighty says you could demo a healthy snack. You could make a green smoothie, right? You could be set up in a place where you're able to have a blender or something in front of you. You can do some type of demo. Roll those energy balls. Good old health coach favorite, because you can do them anywhere. Judy says, build a recipe game. Judy, what game is that? Oops. There, hold on. Let's get you off mute.
It was just a quick creative thought. I mean, you want people to engage, then, partially start a recipe and say, okay, everyone, let's, suggest some ideas and then why. And, if you have a background and or information, you can even show the nutritional information, though that may or may not be beyond your scope. But you want them to engage on something fun.
I like it. We're going to make soup. What goes in the soup?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like that was my favorite session when I was a student at IIN. They were like, it's going to be cooking class with Joshua. I don't know. Joshua's not even part of the program anymore, is he? He sold the school.
No, he did. Yeah.
It's wild. We like went to Kripalu together. Anyway, so he gets on stage and is like, we're gonna, it's cooking class. And we're like, ooh, yeah. And he had a pot in front of him. And I'm like, how's he gonna do this? There's no stove. We were at Lincoln Center. There was nothing. He didn't even have like a hot pot burner plugged in. There was nothing. It was just a table, and he had a pot and a bunch of food. And he was like, we're gonna make soup. And he's like, who likes soup? And everyone's like, yeah. And he like picks up an onion, unpeeled, just an onion, and he just drops it in the pot. And he's like, onion. And then he did that with a few other things too, just like big old, like just celery, just like pretty much raw ingredients. Then he had a pitcher of water and he just poured it in the pot. And he was like, that's how you make soup. And he's, the lesson being like, we got to keep it simple for our clients.
I love that.
The visual, it has stuck with me all these years, and just the simplicity of it. And it was a great lesson too.
Yeah.
Overcomplicate these things. So maybe there's something like that you can do.
Right. When I had one slide just to share with other people, I had one slide that honestly, I was like, I didn't know what else to put into this presentation. So I was like, the whole like eat a rainbow thing. So I had I'd taken pictures of all my lunches, like big salads on a big white, it was all the same white plate. And so I had like 8 of these like salads, and each one was completely different because it was leftovers and it was like, raw stuff, whatever. But it was like this. So it was like this tiled thing of like 8, visuals. And I just made a slide and I was like, these were my salads. And like, I put that slide up and everyone went, oh, and it was like, I couldn't even believe it. I was like, seriously? They're like, I couldn't believe they were actually impressed, because it was literally like my lunches. It was the simplest thing, but like, obviously to them, they don't eat that way. And like, that was like, it's such an easy visual. I could almost have done it raw ingredients, like the soup thing. I could have literally brought lettuce and tomatoes and radishes and a few like crazy, hearts of palm or something that like people don't normally put, and they would have been maybe impressed,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think it would be too hard. You could have been like, guess what's in the salad? I don't know. But yes, you could certainly have games. And then if you're on Zoom, as many of you know, because we do this from time to time, you can put people into breakout rooms. Jenny, do you think that would be something that could work for your setup?
No, because they're going to be in person.
Oh, they're in person.
I'm the only one online. Yeah. So what I could do is I can do my spiel and then maybe have them break out into small groups and talk about like what changes going forward they're going to make. Like what one
Yes.
step can they change going forward, making sure they get the 8 hours of sleep or, something like that. And then maybe hold each other accountable in some
Yep.
way. I don't know. I'm trying
You
to
can do
think
any of that paired share business or group breakouts and things like that. The only difference is that you're the one on the
Yeah.
screen, but they can be interacting with each other.
Mhm.
Oh, it's like hybrid.
Yeah.
The world is weird.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that though. Good. Yes. People, I mean, more than anything else, people need people. And so like it doesn't even matter what they talk about. If you could just get them connecting with
Mhm.
someone, they're gonna feel like in their heart like a happier, more whole person just for having gone through that experience, regardless of what you taught them.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really like a beautiful thing with this type of workshop.
All right, there you have it. I hope you grabbed some ideas that will work for you in your next workshop, whether it's online or in person or a crazy hybrid of both like Jenny's. Inside Healthy Profit University's core curriculum, I teach all about how to find the perfect venue, what to charge, and even give you a workshop outline to follow. And of course, we have our weekly live calls like the one that you heard a clip of today. And we'd love to help you too. You can go to healthcoachpower.com/training to learn more about our process and see if it's a good fit.